Now today's topic is multiple inheritance. ठीक है? What is multiple inheritance? How we do it? In the last lecture, we studied about um, various types of inheritance. Now, in this lecture, we implement the multiple inheritance. In a first lecture, we done with the single inheritance. Okay. Now we start with multiple inheritance. Let's start. Now this is our exam PPT. Let's start. Now multiple inheritance. First, the definition. Multiple inheritance is the feature of C++. A class can inherit from more than one classes. That means a class can contain the attributes of more than one classes. For example, the constructor of inherited classes are called in the same order which they are inherited. For example, in the following program, okay, we see with the following program where the B constructor and the A constructor is called. Okay. Now, uh, here the diagram of the multiple inheritance. There are two base classes, base class 1 and base class 2, and they both derived in derived class. And how we do it, how we actually do it, uh, that we all do in this program. Okay, this is our program of multiple inheritance. Okay, I think first we have to go with the easier one. So this is the easier one. Hash include iostream.h, and then we used to replace this thing. Hash include conio.h. Class A. This is the class A. In this class, we have public A. Here's here we didn't declare any data member and member function. Okay, but there is a constructor also. The constructor name as A, same as the class name. And what is written in A? A is constructor called. Okay, whenever we called whenever we create the object of this class, this constructor will automatically called and display on the screen A's constructor called. Okay, now next is class B. Here it is also simply a class where here is no data member and member function, but only the constructor is there. So C out B constructor called. So whenever the object of this class is created, simply uh, this object or this constructor will called. Now here we do the multiple inheritance. Here what we write, class C. Class is a keyword. Okay, and here we write the C means the name of the new class, and then colon, and then public B comma public A. Now how we are inherited two classes, now public B and public A. Okay, now B is written first and A is written back. Okay? If we change the order, then the working of the program will differ. Okay, now curly bracket start and public, and here we write the constructor of C, C out, C's constructor called enter. Okay, now here int main. Okay, we replace it with void main. Void main C and C. There's no need to mention double C in here. So to avoid this, we must mention C and obj. When we create the object of this class, then what happened? The two constructor called, first the constructor of B class called, and then the constructor of A class called, and then the constructor of the native class. This is the class originate, this original constructor. It calls at the third time. Okay, so here's the output: B constructor called, A constructor called, and C constructor called. We also implement. We also do in our practical session, and we observe that if we change the order, what happens? If we change the order here, public A is first and public B is next, then here's the output order change. A becomes first and B comes after that. Okay, Now, there's another example of multiple inheritance. Here's example. What happens here? Hash include iostream.h, and then we have to mention hash include conio.h class A. Here is the data member. A is equal to 5, and A is a constructor, that C constructor of class A. And then here's also the class B. Here we mention the B variable, and the value is 10, and constructor of class B. And then here the class C inherited two data member, uh, then inherited two classes, public A or public B. And then here's that very data member C is equal to 20. The constructor of the C class is C. And also one thing more mentioned here, that C class C inherit from class A and B. Okay, this is the additional output, additional line that the programmer mentioned in here. Okay, and we change it to void main. Here it is int main, so we have to mention return 0 at the end. So C object, and then what is running, what is doing here, that when it mentions C object, what happens, constructor of class A first run, because it inherit the class A first and then class B, and then the constructor of the class B, and then it mention the thing that class C inherit from the class A and B. And then what happens, uh, because these data members are public, they can use outside of the class. So here we write C is equal to A is equal to obj dot A. So obj dot A displays the answer of the 5, and obj dot B displays 10, and obj dot C display 20. So these three data members are available in the C class also. Okay, so this is the program, and I hope you clear it. And if you have any doubt, then you can talk to me